prodding and cajoling from the international community has managed to shift Gbagbo from the presidency. He still controls the military, though it's not known how much cash he still has to pay them. But Gbagbo can count on his protege, Charles Blay Good, to whip up the self-styled Young Patriots. In the west of the country, rebels have wrested control of a small town from pro-Gbagbo forces, another sign of deteriorating security. And according to the UN, electricity and water supplies to the north of Côte d'Ivoire have now been cut. Most of Ouattara's support comes from here. So far, at least 130,000 people have been forced to flee the violence in Côte d'Ivoire. Almost 400 people are known to have been killed. Diplomats think the real number is much higher. Elsewhere in the world, recently, governments have been brought down by figures far less dramatic than that. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera.
To Egypt now, and another new prime minister. The new man replaces Ahmed Shafiq, who was appointed by President Mubarak after last month's opposition protests. Shireen Tadros says more.
It was the protesters' main demand, and on the eve of another million-man march, it was met. The military announcing on their Facebook page they'd accepted the resignation of Prime Minister Ahmed Shafiq, the man appointed by former President Mubarak before he stepped down. 12 hours before, Shafiq was on Egyptian television having heated debates. He told presenters and guests he wasn't planning on stepping down, even given the public pressure and planned protests. He also defended the state security apparatus Egyptians have come to loathe.
Friday's demonstration, which had been gaining a lot of momentum here, is still going ahead. But organizers say it's not going to be a sit-in or a protest, but a day of celebration because the Egyptian people have had one of their main demands met.
Friday will be a festive day. We will finish in the evening and tell people there is no need for further action now. We need to give a chance to the new cabinet to tell us how and when the rest of our demands will be met.
This is the man tasked with forming a new cabinet, Egypt's new Prime Minister Issam Sharaf. He served briefly as Transport Minister under Hosni Mubarak but quit his post in protest after a deadly train crash. He said the state was not serious enough about solving traffic issues in Egypt. Youth and opposition groups support his appointment. They want a new government of technocrats and to be rid of any remnants of the old regime. With political changes going full steam ahead, Egyptians are cautiously optimistic. They're keeping a close watch, aware the people's strength lies in their stamina to keep pushing for the kind of Egypt they're still dreaming of. Shireen Tadros, Al Jazeera, Cairo.
You're with Al Jazeera, tracking developments in Libya, including fleeing any way they can and with whatever they can carry. Thousands of foreign nationals scramble to get out of Libya. And how doctors brought this baby back to life by freezing her brain. Ella's story when we come back in a couple of moments. Do stay with us.
As the dry condition extends over Amritsar, we'll find the right flavour to tempt your palate.
Hello, would you believe we have yet another winter storm making its way across the United States? Big area cloud just piling its way through the plains. That's heading towards the Great Lakes. We've got quite a keen southerly wind coming in, actually, and that's going to continue just nudging its way a little further northwards, pushing the warm, moist air, the damp weather, into the cold air, and that's why it's readily turning to snow just around the Midwest into that northeastern corner. Temperatures are recovering with those southerly winds, around 6 Celsius there for New York, creeping into double figures for DC, but as you can see for eastern Canada, I think you are looking more in the way of snow to come here. Some snow too, a possibility over the mountain states. Wet and windy weather will creep its way into the Pacific Northwest, into BC as we go through Friday into Saturday. Notice we're warming up there for LA, temperatures getting up to around 23 Celsius. Should stay largely dry here over the next couple of days. Largely dry too across the islands of the Caribbean. I think for the Leeward Islands you could see some sharp showers, some wet weather there too into Panama, maybe Nicaragua, Costa Rica also seeing a little bit of damp weather over the next couple of days. We come into Europe and here the damp weather is really concentrated across central parts of the Mediterranean. It's been very wet, very windy here recently. That will continue to be the case, but drier and brighter further north.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
In 1984, a new energy company was born here in Qatar, bringing pride and recognition to the nation, destined to touch the lives of billions of people around the world. We're proud of our achievements and technological breakthroughs. We're proud of our people. Most importantly, we're proud of our responsibility to deliver energy to the world.
Welcome back. The top stories on Al Jazeera. Funerals have been held in Libya for rebel fighters who were among 14 killed when warplanes bombed the Brega oil terminal on Wednesday. Anti-government fighters say they've now cleared the area of government forces. The US president has his strongest words yet for Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, saying the whole world is outraged by his actions.
Those who perpetrate violence against the Libyan people will be held accountable. And the aspirations of the Libyan people for freedom, democracy, and dignity must be met.
And security forces in Cote d'Ivoire have killed at least 6 women who are marching against incumbent President Laurent Gbagbo. Meanwhile, the government has cut vital supplies of electricity and water to opposition strongholds in the north. Returning to Libya, Al Jazeera's Huda Abdel Hamid is in the city of Benghazi, which is under the control of the opposition. A short while ago, she sent us this update.
There is a hope that the International Criminal Court will go quickly in its investigation and come out with a direct indictment as soon as possible. People would like the International Court to look into a series of what they call massacres of the Libyan people during the entire era of Muammar Gaddafi, not only into what happened since the uprising began on February 15th. Certainly there is tension in the air. People are wondering what is the next step of the government. The fact that government forces have been clashing with the opposition only 200 kilometers away from Brega has risen the tensions here in Benghazi. A lot of volunteers are preparing themselves. Some have already taken the road to try to go and reach the fighting. There is certainly a feeling that at this stage, this part of the country, the east, must help the rest of the country to be liberated.
Well, as we've been hearing, the US is pledging to help foreign nationals who are leaving Libya. But concern is growing for foreigners who are unable to get out. The United Nations says they risk being left stranded and in danger. Al Jazeera's James Bays reports.
Arriving in Tunisia, the flow of people fleeing Gaddafi's Libya continues.
Sit down, please. Sit down.